Just too high? Or?
We're live.
Heavy.
All right, let's
Yeah,
start.
sizable. Like when he always gives it, it's like.
Is there a way you can?
You want me to put it lower?
Is there a way to put it so it's not in anybody's eye line in the audience?
Do you want?
Camera.
We don't need this here. We can move it. And that way you have more versatility, so you can move around.
Oh, or couldn't we just?
We got this. Come on, I got glasses.
Oh, well, there's no way to put it down.
I don't know. It's not much there.
This is gorgeous. Okay.
So this is live on YouTube on Lightwitch?
Yeah, on Sasha the Tarot Diva.
Oh, on yours?
Oh. This is our first live stream Ghost Stories by the Fire. This is so exciting.
I had no idea to be here either until the last minute when I was like, welcome.
Yeah.
Who knew?
If people want to come up, I think they probably would. You can start letting people up. Bill, do you concur?
Just give me 3 minutes.
I think we're live already. Where are you two?
What was that?
Better. I just don't want anybody's vision to be blocked by the technology.
So then it has to go over here.
All right. So but I want to see Melissa. Wait, can you pop it like over there behind the couch?
No, this is.
We're not going to be able to, it's not going to pick anything up.
It's got to be in somebody's way.
It's got to be at
And
someone's
that's why
way.
I'm sitting here, so it's
Alright.
blocking the voice.
Thank you. Would like some tea. Ooh, I actually love a bottle of water.
Bottle of water. Got you.
Thank
I'm
you.
good with that.
How do I sound?
Oh yes, room temperature is great. Thank you.
Yeti.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad you.
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
A dreary Dickensian evening, even though it's spring.
That's the vibe.
Right? It's a good vibe. Like really
Sasha,
good.
Talk
What?
to me.
I'm not going to be able to talk to you. The audio is going to be an issue because we don't have a microphone, and
So
so
the
I'm
microphone's
in
right
denial. Okay. No, but I mean when the people are sharing.
I just need to get a level. So
Oh, you're just getting a level. Okay, so I'm talking.
like, talk in your hey, go
Yeah, hi, welcome to Ghost Stories by the Fire. Hello, everybody out there. If anybody's watching this live.
All right. We'll figure it out. It is what it is. Okay.
Oh, I went on the Wonderwheel, but I never went on the car. I was too smart for that.
Melissa, should I invite people to stay for the reception after? Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll sit here.
Yay.
Like that?
Perfect. That's beautiful. And then whoever's sharing a story. Could you even bring it a little, no, the other way. The other head corner. So yeah, so we're perfect. That's good.
Really good singing motion.
Oh, yeah, I got it. No, I don't want the evil singing bowl.
Recorded.
Thank you, sweetheart. Oh my God, I love it. I love it.
There it is. She's like the inside.
That's hilarious. That is so funny. Is this my phone?
The same spread that I did for myself.
Aww.
Are you serious?
Hey, Bill? Can I get you my phone?
That is not smart.
Thank you.
That's basically your entire. Your
My
entire.
whole
Thank you.
My
Thank
whole
you.
That's so fun. That is so fun.
This is so exciting. You look so beautiful. You don't still have your Bluetooth speaker close by, do you?
No, but then.
In case I'm still,
Where did they put it?
it's, you know what? Don't worry about it.
Oh no, it's up here somewhere. I just don't know. Where is everybody?
That's okay. We're good. We're good.
Yeah, as soon as they come back, I'll.
All right, so should we go ahead and begin?
I just need everybody that, where's the little team?
Was that the light, the one
Yeah,
that we're
well,
using?
yeah.
Is that the-
Oh, it's okay. I was just gonna do something funny.
What's that? You handed it to me?
It's okay.
I didn't see it. Oh, it's right over there. There it is. There it is.
Ah, thank you. Yeah. Yes, Tiki Tunes, my friend. Tiki Tunes. All right. Are you still? Oh gosh, you're still setting up.
2 seconds.
All right. We're waiting for the tech. Are we always waiting for the technical in today's day and age? It's like
You want to look good? You
it's
gotta look
like
good.
In a suit container.
it's. I'm just gonna wait until he sits down so nobody out there gets blocked.
We've got a minute, right?
Huh?
We have a minute.
Yeah, we have a minute.
There's still-
Shall I wait for you? Or are you gonna run to the ladies' room?
There's more people coming.
Did you have a little time? She said-
No, I did not. I couldn't run on the
Oh, she said we have a little time. She said we have a minute.
Oh.
Go, yeah.
Yeah, so I let her run. While we're waiting, you guys can all think about the spooky, awesome, incredible stories that you're gonna share with us tonight. Oh gosh, now I feel like I don't know. I don't want to. I do. I'm so excited to have you guys all here. Yay! All right, I should wait till she comes back because she said I have a minute, right? She did. I love this. I love your space, Melissa. It's incredible. I can't believe this is the same space as I did a class earlier today. We did a spring shadow work and laying the ghosts of winter to rest earlier over there in that art gallery. And it's like a beautiful movable space. I love it. I think here she comes. Here someone comes. Is it a ghost? Is it a ghoul? What could it be? Oh my God! It's her! Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sasha Graham. Welcome to Ghost Stories by the Fire. I am so excited to have you guys all here for literally what is one of my favorite events pretty much ever. I'm, as many of you guys know, a tarot reader and a writer. I create tarot decks, I create books. Me and a lot of my friends, Melissa, my special guest tonight, Heather Carlucci, we literally live with a foot in each world. And so stories about the supernatural, right? Experiences that we can't quite explain are literally the heart and soul of why I do what it is that I do. And as far as the invisible world goes, I don't think that we necessarily have to explain what's happening when we have a ghostly experience or a between world experience, because I like the idea of exploring mystery, right? Not explaining it, because some mysteries are not ever meant to be solved. And so I think one of the greatest ways that we can do this is via sharing our stories, ghost stories, right? Because it doesn't matter what culture you grew up in, what religion you believe in, everything, all of us have had experiences we can't quite explain. And this becomes a really beautiful space, a safe space with which to share those stories. So I'm going to bring anybody who wants to come up to share a spooky story. It could be a near-death experience, a psychic experience, a ghostly experience, just something wild and crazy. And the only thing that I ask you is to tell it in 5 minutes. I have a beautiful singing bowl. So if it gets long, like longer than 5 minutes, I'll definitely give you a clue to wrap up. And then again, when it's time to really stop, because we want to respect everybody's space, and we want to hear everybody's stories. So I'd love to bring to the stage, vis-a-vis the chair, this is kind of like ghost stories beneath the ghost light. This feels like a ghost light rather than a fire. But I'd like to bring and introduce to all of you my dear friend. She is a psychic medium and medical intuitive. Her name is Heather Carlucci. Heather, welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Could you share?
Sure. I'm going to talk fast because this is longer than 5 minutes. And
It's okay. Well, you're a featured story.
Okay. So I can do whatever I want. No.
She's the one you all paid to see.
Yeah. I chose this story. It's one of my favorites, but also because it has to do with doing the work. And I know a lot of people here are practitioners or working on their own intuition and working on their own magic. And I thought it would be really fun to share this one because it was part of a first for me. So about 11 years ago, I'm talking on the phone with a friend, and we still talked on the phone. It's one of the last years we actually talked on the phone quite a bit. And she was like, we're going to move. I was like, why are you going to move? She's like, it's time. We need a bigger place. But last night was really the straw that broke the camel's back. And in the middle of the night, her and her husband woke up to a huge ruckus downstairs. And they ran downstairs. And this guy who was raging blind drunk drove up onto their lawn, burst outside, started screaming at the house, thinking it was somebody else's, urinated on the lawn. She picks up, calls the sheriff. We live in a small town in the Catskills, calls the sheriff, and her husband runs to try to get the car keys out of the guy's hands. Her husband's really scrappy, but this guy was huge and raging. She said it looked like he had fire in his eyes. It's all very traumatic. Husband could not get the keys out of this guy's hand or out of the car, nothing. And the guy throws him down, jumps in the car, and drives away. She tells the sheriff which way the car is going. And they're like, holy moly, that's the big sign. We got to move. We got to get out of here. Find out maybe an hour later, guy wrapped the car around a tree, passes immediately. Right? She's like, we got to get out of here. I said, what are you going to do? She said, well, another friend of ours said they just bought this random house that was in between his house and his son's house so that like they could have control what goes on in between the two houses. It's really old. He said we could live in it for really cheap if we just sort of like do it up a bit because it's kind of a mess. Just they had one friend in it once who just like get his life together. And so that's the only thing that's been going on in that house. So at that point in my career, I'd only really cleansed spaces for myself. I didn't make it part of my offerings. And something in me really stupid was like, hey, why don't I cleanse that for you? And she's like, that would be great. And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And so later that day, I'm on the phone with my friend Woody. Now, Woody was my closest friend, and also my closest friend was also a medium with many, many years under his belt. And he was trained in the ways of Low Country in South Carolina, radically different than myself. And my approach is very technical and science-based, and his was like, girl, did you read that house first? And I was like, yeah, I did. He said, yeah, I'm reading it now. I was like, did you see the little girl? He said, yes, I did. I said, oh, good. I said, did you see the man? She said, yes, I did. And I said, you know what I also saw in that house was a vision of a man in a hallway laying across it with bottles all around him. He said, I don't see that, but I can feel that. I said, I know, it's a little sad. He said, there are a couple things I want you to do. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I got this. He was like, no, you don't got this. These are the things I want you to do. He said, you need a watch. So you and Allison, my friend whose house it is, so you and Allison can time each other because I want you to do the first step in 7 minutes. And I was like, okay. He said, second thing you got to do is you got to get a jar of water from the nearest natural body of water. That was easy because we all live on the Delaware River. And the house, of course, was perched on a hill overlooking, because houses like this that are this spooky, they don't just sit low. They sit high. There's always bats. There's always bats. The next thing you got to do, he said, I need your number 2 pencil that hasn't been sharpened yet and a sharpener. I said, okay. He said, so the first thing you got to do, and I did this, he says, first thing I do, you and Allison have to look at your watches. We get to find watches, because who has watches? You have to sync up for 7 minutes. And I want you to go through the entire house and make note of everything in 7 minutes, all the way up and all the way down, and then come out again. And then you can go do what you do. If you ever feel weird, spill a little bit of the river water. That should clear it. And if at any time you feel unsafe, I want you to take that sharpened pencil that I sharpen when I'm at the front door before I walk in and write a 7 on the interior door jamb of the 7th doorway you walk through. And I was like, okay, you got it. So I call Allison. I was like, you game? She's like, oh yeah. I was like, okay, we're doing this thing. And I was like, I'll get that done. And then I'll do what I usually do. Allison and I show up to the house and we're like, okay, go. Right? Sharpening that pencil, walk in the door. I throw up the front door. There are 2 front doors. There's a main front door that would walk into a foyer, and then one front door kind of set back because there's a wraparound porch, and it goes right into the kitchen. And I walk into the kitchen, and I was like, oh, fuck. It was like walking into a crowd of people. Nobody was there. Everything in the kitchen was this amazing teak wood. It was a way older house than it looked like from the outside. It had been painted over so many times you couldn't tell. Right now it's like red and white, something like that. And I look around on the first doorway on my right. So the front door is the first doorway. Second doorway doesn't have a door on it. Goes right to the basement. It's pitch black. And it doesn't even look like the steps go all the way down. And I was like, we're not going to count that doorway. I'm not walking through that doorway. Even I know better. And I was like, you know what? No matter what happens here, I got to tough this out. Because if I'm going to keep doing this professionally, the cleansing part, I got to be afraid of nothing, right? I have to get through this, right? Because I know in my head and in my intuition, nothing can really mess with me. I get that. So there's another door. There's a bathroom. He said, deep closets are okay. Cabinets are not. And there were cabinets everywhere. It was a big old-fashioned kitchen. So I went out all through. I ended up going in through the back of the foyer. I saw the front door. I came around this big living room with a big fireplace. It was all brick. Huge windows everywhere. It did not look this impressive from the outside. Came around to what was probably a dining room. In the corner, I see a stand-up piano covered in dust. And I was like, I could feel the energy off of it. And I come around and there's the 7th door. It's the back of the kitchen with one of those old swinging wooden doors that they all used to have. And it was wedged open by a little wooden wedge, as you would probably keep, right, to keep your door open. So I try to move the door and it's jammed, really jammed. Both hands, whatever. I'm like, okay, 7th one, let's go. I take my pencil out and I'm about to put a 7 on the door jamb, and the door swings shut. This door I could not move, swings shut, and I put my hand up and like that. And I was like, holy shit. This was movie level action. And there was nobody there to witness it with me. So I'm like, okay, I got my jar of water. I spill it in the corner behind the door. And amazingly, I was like, holy cow, it dissipated. This is amazing. I was like, okay, I can do this. But right now, I can everything I'm feeling, everything is going on. I felt like I could not protect myself enough before I walked in the house. No matter what I do, how I do it, I was like, oh, we are in. It's go time. I walk through and I look to my right as I walk into that big living room with the fireplace, and there is a little tiny desk covered in cobwebs with a little tiny chair. And suddenly I feel somebody next to me, and it's low. It's the little girl. I could feel, I know, nothing's freakier than a kid.
Yeah.
Right? That and dolls. But anyway, let me back up a minute. So I'm like, okay, we are here. It is happening. I walked and I was like, okay, I acknowledge the living room. I acknowledge that crazy dining room, that piano yet to come. Okay. And as I'm walking towards the doorway, it occurs to me, holy shit, it's daylight. There's nothing weirder than a spooky house when it's a daylight because you know there's no end. The sun can't come up and make you feel better.
Yeah.
I go towards the stairway and suddenly a marble rolls out from underneath the stairs like she wants to play.
Oh.
I was like, no. And she was so sweet. You could feel it. I could see it. I could see it at this point. I was like, gotta keep moving. Remember, the clock's ticking. Because I don't want to know what happens if I'm not out of here in 7 minutes, right? So I run up the stairs, and I'm like, okay, where is everything? I turn to the right, and there is, in front of me, the master bedroom, which is amazing because all the windows in a big round circle facing the river. The light is coming in, and in the middle of it are piles of the window screens. All the windows are open. Like, it's weird. Don't think anything of it. Piled in the middle. Okay. Acknowledge. We acknowledge. And then I turn around and look down the hallway. I can see there's a bathroom at the end, which is how my friend is going to make her money back because it was the worst bathroom I've ever seen. She's going to have to redo that bathroom. And I look down, and there is the image in my mind's eye of the person laying in the middle of the hallway with the bottles everywhere. I say hello, I go into the bathroom, I come out, and then I go to the left, and there's obviously a child's bedroom. And the papers start falling off the desk.
Oof.
And I see, and they're just old math papers. I was like, okay, acknowledge, go to the other side of the hallway, another empty bedroom, say hello. And then I look up, and I'm like, oh God, it's the attic steps. It's like never going to end. And I walk up the steps. I literally it felt like when you're running through an airport and there are people all around you. Suddenly the amount of people just like quadrupled. And I felt a hand on my arm, and it was a little hand. And I was like, okay, we just got to get up these steps, and then I got to run out because I still had 3 minutes left. I was trying to go so fast off, I was actually going to make it. And I got up, and it was like a very alarming sight. It was a perfectly brand new attic. It was all new wood, unfinished, like plywood. It was bright, it was clean. And throughout the entire thing were these piles this high of 1970s coffee table books. And I was like, what the hell just happened? And I could see from the font, I could see by the yellowing. I was like, holy cow. And I was just staring there, and suddenly I heard like a crack, like a tree branch, and I turn around, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go. I run down, also because at this point I'm like, I want to get out of here. But I run down because I still have to do the cleansing that I'm going to do anyway, right? Run downstairs, get out, boom, with 2 seconds to spare. And Allison's like, so what do you think of my house? And I was like, it's great, because I don't want to say anything to her because her son is there, who at the time was maybe like 6 years old. So I'm like, oh my God, it's great. I love the woodwork in the kitchen. It's right? So we go in, and I was like, come with me. I want you involved a little bit in what I do. So I start what I do, right? I use a lot of vinegar. I don't burn sage. That's not my thing. But I burn some other things. I cleanse down. We can talk about that later if you want to know what I do. That's fine. I do the whole thing all over again. And I was like, what is the deal with the attic? And she's like, I haven't been up there yet. I was like, good luck with that. So we go back downstairs. It feels wildly different. Also, when I went back up, instead of just the white vinegar that I used and a couple of other things I put together, I used the river water because I was like, this place really needs to be cleansed out of a lot of stuff. I said my blessings, and then I looked to my right as I walked out, and I was like, there's something going on with the back property. I'm not sure what that is, but I knew that it was not my business. That I knew for sure. I turn around and I say goodbye. I gotta go. I take a picture of the house, just sort of like click, and you kind of see Allison standing there, and you see her son kind of running by, and you see the house. Just the side, nothing. I just want to send it to Woody so he, give his old 1-2 so he can kind of be involved in it, see what he has to say about it. From there, I go in further into the mountains. I have a party to go to later, and it's not sitting right with me. I don't know what's not sitting right, but I'm not relaxing like I can when I go to somebody's house for a dinner party, and then I have to go drive all the way home, which is like an hour into the other side of the mountains. And I get to my road, and I'm just waiting to feel better, and I'm not feeling better. I keep looking in the rearview mirror into my back seat because I feel like somebody's there. It's one of those things. I get to my house, which is a house I have been in and out of my entire life. I know I'm safe there. I walked in and I checked every closet. Something was bothering me. Something was bothering me. Something was bothering me. Being so high into the mountains before, I didn't have any bars on my phone, and all of a sudden I get to my house and it's going ding, 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 buzz, 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 buzz. And I look down and I have 17 voice messages and 35 texts, all from Woody. And I keep saying, did you look at the photo? Did you look at the photo? Put it on a computer and make it bigger. Look at the photo, look at the photo, look at the photo. Call me, call me, call me, call me, call me. I get him on the phone. I was like, hey, did you look at the picture? I was like, fuck no. I was like, my car is full of people. My house is full of people. I can't. I was like, I feel weird. He was like, okay, he's like, I can read it. You got a really weak and very needy energy stuck on your back. At the same time, I get a call from another friend, my friend Betty. And she's like, I feel weird about you. What you got stuck on your back? So they tell me both. They've never met at this point. They know very much about each other. They've never met. They told me the exact same thing to do, right? They said, open your door and yell, get out 4 times and slam that door. I was like, it's easy enough. I do it, slam it. I'm like, fine, I'm going to bed. I will deal with everything else in the morning. I go to bed, and for the first time in my life living there, I shut the door and I get under the covers and I'm like, I just have to go to sleep. I have to go to sleep. And all of a sudden I start hearing this in the front of my house. And I don't know what it is. And it's constant, and it's over and over and over and over again. And what do? I don't go anywhere near it. I live in the middle of nowhere, and I know it's got to be an animal of some kind. It feels like it's banging against a window, and it's so constant. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I am tired. It's been a long day, and quite honestly, at that point in my life, I could not deal with it. I get up in the morning, and I kind of hear it. It's softer. And I go to the front of my house, and there on my window is a moth this big with a body like a hot dog, like something that you only see in science books. And it's hanging on to the screen. And of course, it's hitting the window as the wind goes, right? Very windy night, because that night had to be windy and weird. Right? So I'm still freaked out by everything. And I try to center myself in all the things I know how to do at that point. Because remember, cleansing is new. Everything else is old hat for me, but cleansing like that level was so new. I do the next thing I know how to do as a smart, intuitive, witchy person. I get in my car and I go back to the city. I hightail it back to my apartment, and my mom is in town, and she's at the apartment, and I'm telling her this story, and she was like, oh my God. I'm like, I know. And she's like, have you looked at the picture? And I said, no. She's like, get it back up. You're fine here. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine here. It's going to be fine. It's fine, right? And I open up the picture and I make it big and you can see in the window the little girl, the little round white face with the little dark eyes looking out. And above her, you can see something wispy. To me, when I read it, it looked like one of the men that I saw when I was in the house. Nothing bad between them. He just happened to be there one time in time, and she lived there as well. I go to find out the next day that the man laying on the floor that I saw, of course, was the friend of the person that owned the house that he was trying to help out, was the man who died the night she decided to move. That was that man.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. Heather, wow. Oh my, I love the use of numbers in that story. The 7, the 4, like put 7 minutes. There's something so it's like, I feel like witchcraft, fairy tales, numbers. Yeah.
7's one of my lucky numbers too. So he was like 7. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't cool. Now I've done a million of those cleansing. It's not a big thing. I boss people around. It's great.
Right. Way to pop your cherry on the cleansing of the house. I mean, you want to get, wow.
We can pass it all the time. We do pass it all the time.
Do we?
Wow.
Yes, we do. Yeah,
I need to know the address. No, maybe I don't want to know.
Yeah, where is it further upstate so I don't pass it?
Oh, yeah, you're in Youngsville, right?
Yeah,
Not
how
too
about you?
far from Youngsville.
Actually, it's on the other side of the nose. It's in PA.
Oh.
So it's right across from Coshocton.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's right near you.
It's right near me. Yeah, it's my backyard. Thanks for telling me. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I've had enough troubles in my life. Thanks.
Well, now you know to stay away from.
Well, you meant to bring that thing in, right? That's sitting on your shoulder? No, never mind.
No, but she lived there for 3 years. She did live in. She was very attracted to anything chaotic, and it was funny because all of our friends' kids, who were all friends with her son, refused to go there for those 3 years, and they didn't even know why. And we did find out, actually, a friend of ours called, I should say this is a follow-up, a friend of ours called and was like, my uncle, they're Native American, would like to sort of go to the house, if that's okay with you. I was like, absolutely. And he got there and he was like, the house has been cleansed, but it's a burial site. There's a Native burial site behind the house. Yeah.
Wow.
So everything that had happened in the house was not kosher to anybody on the land, which we forget a lot about because half the time when things are active in the house, it's really because of the land. But he ended up sort of like calming the land. Which
Yeah, that's true, because in that area, there were a lot of little wars with the Lenape.
a lot.
And
Yeah.
we don't know who's buried underneath that soil.
No, I know my own property. I mean, actually, all of our properties up there. Let's get real. And this is what it is. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Did anybody find out what happened to that little girl, or what was?
No.
No.
No one able to find her, but actually, you know what I'll do? I'm going to find the photo and I'll post it on my stories.
Yeah.
Oh,
Where can
please
people
do.
find you? On
HeatherCarlucci.com or on Instagram, it's Heather Carlucci Medium.
Yes.
So let me
Excellent.
dig that baby.
Yeah, post that on there. Thank you, Heather.
Nice.
Wow. So who, oh, yeah, I see that hand shot up. My girl, get up here. Oh, I'm so excited. And I'm just going to ask you to try and speak up just so everybody in the back can hear.
Okay. So it was March 15th of 2023. It was almost a year after my sister passed away. Her ashes are in my room. There was a really cool spot where I had them. And he was 1.5 at the time. He was still in a crib. You always heard him chuckle when he was in there. So I was taking a video for my mom to send it to her. And in the video, the lights were flickering, but I was watching it and there was nothing flickering. So I just kept recording. And it was a 37-second video, 34 or 37-second video. I sent it to my mom, Facebook, because she has an Android. And it kept sending a minute and like 40 seconds. And like, this video is not that long. Turns out the video was going in slow motion, but I never put it in slow motion. So you can ask me after this. I'll show you both videos, the quick video, the 30-something second video, and the minute and something second video. She messages me back. She goes, Patty, it's really great, but did you look to the left of your mirror? And I was like, what are you talking about? And so I sent the video to Sandy, and I think I sent it to Melissa as well. And I'm like, tell me I'm not going crazy, right? Because I kept watching it. Lo and behold, it was my sister's silhouette to the left of the mirror. You can see it clear as day. And even after that, like, I felt her, I was able to see her. I felt her presence. Wow. And it's just really weird because in March, this is going to be the second year now. I feel her presence a lot. I feel sometimes a hand on my shoulder. It was just cool. It was creepy, but really cool. And I was like, don't go away. I'm not scared. Like, this is really cool for me. I want you to keep coming, right? As though, I mean, if it was like a weird ghost, I'd be like, you need to let go. But but this one was more of a comfort for me, and I loved it. And my mom, because she has not felt my sister since her passing, and they were really close, she had said, I had been asking for like signs from her, and that video that I sent her, and it was never meant to be that long. It was a minute and something seconds, and it was very slow motion. Wow. You heard things in the background. Yeah. You heard people talking in the background. And I'm like, well, there's so much to like dissect in this one video. And I watch it and I just see my sister right on the left of the mirror. So it's the coolest experience that I've ever had.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's very interesting. This is the second really poignant actual like technology, like video. A good friend of mine who lost her brother-in-law, and he was a stained glass artist. When she is FaceTiming with her sister who is married to him, this like stained glass colors come through. It's like, I mean, I think that the departed love electronics.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
I think that that's incredible. I'm just curious, because a lot of people I think are under the impression that you need to be a psychic medium in order to speak to the other side.
Oh, I don't have any of that.
So you still have do you speak to her?
All the time. All the time. I spend time with her a lot just to have that connection, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just cool to have that. And the lights were not flickering in real time. It was only through my phone. So that was the cooler. I was like, oh, what's going on? That's why the video was only like 30 something seconds long, because I'm like, what is wrong with my phone? And yeah, it was crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I could even message my mom. I'm like, I don't know why it's sending in slow motion. I'm not doing that. So I sent it to her like 3 times and it kept going in, that really long length. So it's a really cool experience.
Thank you for sharing that. And this is what I love about ghost stories, right? Because really at the end of the day, it's confirming that we do move on, right? And that there's so many different ways to communicate, and it's that nothing is ever gone. Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you.
Would somebody else like to? Oh,
Yeah.
please take a seat, my dear. Gillian. Everyone, this is Gillian.
Hello. Okay, picture it. Charlotte, North Carolina. The year 1998. So I come from a generation of women that went through a lot of abuse and didn't talk about it. In that, though, I did not turn out how my mother expected me to. And therefore, my grandmother was, I don't know, she was sassy. She ran her own diner, married 3 times, went to Atlantic City on the weekends to gamble. And we had a lot more in common. When I was 13, she came over to watch me. Well, one of the few times that my mother actually left the house with my stepfather and went out to a Christmas dinner. This was probably one of the strongest relationships with a woman, my grandmother, that I had as a kid. I was very much a tomboy, ADHD kid, chopped off all my hair. This was the most positive feminine figure in my life and one of the safest people I had. So randomly, when my mom and stepdad went out, my grandmother was watching me. We ended up watching a movie, and she's stroking my hair, and everything's nice. And you start to doze off as a kid because you're like 12 or 13, and you do that. Let me also add this to the ADHD spiciness. I was a very light sleeper. I was the type of person that the second I heard something, I'm like, what's that? Had to investigate. And we lived in a ranch style house. So the front door is right here. And then you can just kind of imagine open floor plans. So like the couch and the TV area pretty much can directly see the front door. While she was watching me, she died. And I was a kid, and there was nothing I would have been able to do. And when my mother came home, she and my stepdad see what's happened, call 911. The fire trucks come. The police department comes. Everybody's coming. The front door's open. We also had 6 dogs. I lived on a farm. Yeah. There's a lot of noise. I did not wake up. I am on this couch. I am by this front door. And I didn't wake up. To the point that one of the paramedics was worried, like carbon monoxide, like they wanted to check to make sure that I was breathing, and I was. My parents went to the hospital with the body. My great aunt Mary Dell came from down the street, swaps places where my grandmother was to watch me and make sure I'm okay. And the moment I woke up was when my stepdad was picking me up to carry me into bed, to put me into bed with my mom. And I wake up and I'm like, where's Grammy? And she tells me that she died. And it was one of those things where through all that chaos, through everything that was happening, nothing touched me. I didn't have to go through that. And I feel like when I reflect back, knowing the trauma that she endured during her life, knowing the trauma that I endured, she saved me from that. And I didn't have to go through losing that, and that my last moment and my last thought would be of my grandmother stroking my hair while I fell asleep.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing that. Oh my gosh. Grandmas are the best. They're the
We
best.
stand grandmas in this house.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. But somebody else like.
Oh, I got it.
Come
All right, folks, we're gonna go back to batshit crazy. If I get out of my chair, please excuse me telling this story. My wife and I have a penchant. We both conceived, we're both sensitives. We love haunted hotels, haunted towns. If we can stay in the haunted room itself, done, even better. So we go to this place called Jerome. We're out in Jerome, Arizona.
Okay.
If you've never heard of Jerome, I invite you all, if you like the paranormal, investigate it. In its day, it was like the Deadwood show on HBO. There's more haunted rooms, buildings, places in that town than forget it. I mean, even look into the hospital, Territorial Madhouse was there. Can you imagine? In the 1800s. So it became a ghost town when everything dried up.
Yeah.
It's a real fun place to go to, though. Here it is. So we go into Jerome, and we find this place called it's called something else now, but it was the Inn at Jerome. And it was once a building. It has a cafe in the downstairs and like 10 or so rooms upstairs. It used to be a small saloon with a bordello upstairs. So we looked and, we're walking around and we find that the place is haunted by the madam who was murdered in her room by a patron or a dissatisfied customer. No one's really too sure. They just found her stabbed to death one morning. So, of course, we're like, is that room open? And they're like, oh, yeah, sure. We're like, this is great. But I didn't sign my name. So we have a fun day, and I swear we were bone sober. Helen is really tired. She turns over, says goodnight, kissy, kissy, turns over with her back to me and goes to sleep. You know the old hurricane lamps that have, all right? The hurricane lamps that have the top light, the bottom light. So I got the bottom light on. I don't want to keep her awake. And I'm just sort of reading a book because I'm not really that tired yet. Now, this was like an Arizona evening, like in spring. So it's cold at night. So there's no breeze. The windows are shut. No air conditioner on. It's just one radiator. So there's no wind. There's nothing. I'm laying there, and all of a sudden I feel something on my chest. And I look down. I'm thinking, oh, it's a spider. So I look down, and I see, I'm very hairy. I'm not going to scare you all to death. And I see my hair moving like there's fingers going up. I know it's not a breeze because they're moving as it goes down. It's going up and down. And I'm like this in the bed, and my mind being my mind immediately cuts to the scene in Ghostbusters where the ghost screws Dan Aykroyd into that. And that was like a millisecond. And then the little lizard survival brain in the back of my head goes, asshole, don't you know what's happening here? And I go, oh shit, I got to get out of this. So now I got to think, and the lizard brain kicks my rational brain in, and I'm trying to find ways out of this, and I only got 3 ways, and none of them are good. Not for me anyway. 1, I spurn her, and she gets mad and hits me in the head with the lamp during the night while I'm asleep. That's what I'm thinking. I go, well, I can't do that. I can't spurn this. All the while I'm talking to her going, hi, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Oh, you got quite the touch there, lady. Yeah. I go, all right, what's the second idea? Okay, let whatever's going to happen, happen. Let it happen, all right? And then if okay, but, oh, shit. If I do let it happen, and Helen wakes up and turns over and goes, what the F is going on here? I'm gonna have to scream, rape! I'm being raped by a spirit. Helen, help me! I'm being raped by a spirit. And then I know one of the other, this is all milliseconds now. I'm trying to figure this shit out while this is going on. I'm literally frozen trying to figure this shit out. What do I do? And I go, if I start screaming rape, one of the other people renting rooms probably going to call the cops. Yeah. And I was on the police force then. So now I got to explain to one cop to another, that I was being raped by a ghost. And then she's going to think I'm even crazier than she knows I am. I said, so that's bad for Jimmy too. And I said, and then the ghost is going to feel rejected because that's a spurning. I called the cops on a bordello madam. A lamp in the head again. I go, well, I'm sleeping. I go, holy shit. And I go, all right, what am I going to do? So that's there's 3 scenarios. I let it happen, I spurn her and get a lamp in the head, or I got to scream, I'm being raped. So I'm just talking to her, and thankfully it stops. And I'm frozen. I am like, okay. And I'm looking. I know it's not Helen, because initially I thought it was her because I saw something. I'm looking at her back's to me. I'm like, okay. So I had deep breathing. I didn't know any about this cleansing and stuff then, or things like you guys too. So I'm deep breathing. Actually hyperventilating. Like, oh shit. I don't know how, but somehow I fell asleep. I guess I was just exhausted. Yeah. So I wake up in the morning. Helen wakes up. Good morning, honey. Kissy, kissy. How was your night? She goes, boy, do I got a story. I said, boy, do I got a story to tell you. And she goes, oh, somebody tried to pull you out of bed too? Wow. And I went, and she looks me right in the eye, and I went like this. Not exactly. And she goes, what happened to you? So I told her, what happened to me, and she said that during the night, she was sleeping like this most of the night, something grabbed her arm and tried to pull her off the bed. And then with a deer in the headlights look, again, the survival brain kicks in, and we both go, holy shit. She knew that if this was going to happen, she had to get you out of the bed so she could crawl in the bed. We said, screw the shower, screw brushing our teeth, threw our clothes on, packed up, and said, thank you very much for the entertainment. And we go downstairs to have breakfast at the cafe, because the cafe, it's the same owners. So you check in and check out there too. It's just this little cafe. So we're sitting there start having breakfast, and the owner comes over and says, so how was your night? I said, how was my night? So I told her the story, and she goes, you know what she says to me? She goes, oh yeah, she gets that way sometimes. I said, this has happened before? And she goes, yeah, sometimes she just likes the men that are in the room. I said, all right, so let me get this straight in my head. You have a madam that is now a succubus, literally living in that room, trying to rape men in front of their wives, and you don't want anybody? And she goes, well, how are we going to rent the room out then? No one's going to want it. And I said, you got that right. She goes, would you like to record this? We have a book where you can write. I said, damn straight, I'm going to write it down, because I want to at least know in my heart that when I leave here, I gave the next guy a fighting chance to read that account before they rent the goddamn room. And that was the night I almost caught a lamp in the head and had nowhere to go. I swear, true story. True story. It was just.
Thank you. And thank you.
Oh yeah, but being so understanding and not having to make me cry rape.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
Honest to God, it was just wild.
That's amazing.
Oh yeah, it's funny now. Everybody let me laugh now. It wasn't so funny then.
Well, I'm glad you lived to tell us about it.
Yes, thank you. And then I didn't have to explain why I was screaming rape like a little girl. Rape, I'll be raped.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You should know by now nothing normal happens to me.
Does anybody else have, would anyone else like to share? Oh, I see a hand. Yes, come up.
You okay, Melissa?
What's the funniest part is I've heard that story before, and I
I'll
said,
try
"That
you.
was that funny."
I mean, we should have known at hairy chest. like it was coming. It was coming. And your name again is?
My name's Danielle.
Danielle. Everybody, welcome. This is Danielle.
It's gonna be really hard to follow that one. But so, my husband and I are high school sweethearts. So ever since high school, we always dreamed of getting an old house and fixing it up. So our dream came true. We got married. We moved up to the Hudson Valley, and we got an old house that was built in 1770 by a Revolutionary War soldier. He built the house, went to go fight off in the Battle of White Plains, and fortunately, he came back. So we bought the house, and it had good bones, but it needed a lot of work. So we tore up old parquet floors, we ripped off the 60s wallpaper, the bubblegum shed carpets. But the more and more we worked on the house, the more activity started to happen, the more the house sort of responded. We would hear talking downstairs in the kitchen, and we would run out, we'd look out the windows and make sure nobody was talking outside, the TV wasn't on. We would hear instruments playing in the hallway, like a flute. We'd be just talking to ourselves, and in the middle of our conversation, we'd hear a flute or a pipe instrument. We would hear conversations outside our bedroom. And one day, my husband, on the way to work, he caught a glimpse in the window on the upper floor, and it was a little girl in a white nightgown staring back at him. And he just ran to work. He did not have breakfast or anything, so he booked it. So I actually saw the little girl shortly after that in the hallway. And these incidences kept happening. And so we actually went to, we were recently moved in, and we met Melissa at her Sugarloaf shop. And she told us about a local ghost hunting group, and they investigated the house, and they sent all the evidence to the Travel Channel to a ghost hunting show. And they actually contacted us, and they wanted to investigate the house. So I was a little nervous about that, because you're going in front of the whole world saying, hey, my house is haunted. And, you know, it's a little nervous. I'm not a very outspoken person. I'm very shy, but we did it, and they came and they investigated the house. And unfortunately with TV, a lot of stuff gets cut. So I write and illustrate children's books, and the lawyers cut this because they consider it self-promotion. But one of the investigators found my children's book and started reading it to the little girl on the stairs. And they kept getting hits. The little girl was responding to them. Yeah. And they told the little girl, you're really scaring the people in this house. You're really frightening them. And they caught on the EVP her saying, I'm sorry. Yeah. And that actually broke our hearts. And during the reveal, they explained that to us. And one of the investigators suggested you should write a children's book about what it's like living with spirits. They're not all bad, and it's their home too. And you could learn to live in peace and harmony. And so that's what I'm doing.
That's excellent. Wonderful.
Just about that. And they said what you could do as well is you could sit upstairs where you see her often, and you could have a conversation with her and tell her, it's okay to live here if you want. You can leave if you'd like, but if you'd like to stay, that's okay too. Just don't frighten us. So that's what we did. We went upstairs and we said, we understand this is your home too. This was your home. You can move on if you'd like. But if you would like to stay, just please don't scare us. So right after that, the lights started to flicker, and my husband and I caught a glimmer of white lace walking right by, and we weren't scared. We actually felt very peaceful.
Wow.
And to us, that was a message that, okay, I got you. And so we visit her grave, we leave her flowers, and there's actually a lot of stories, but that's the spark notes.
Wow.
That's beautiful. Is there a way to let us know when the book is published? Because that's such a isn't that a beautiful
They just
idea?
opened a children's bookstore in Jeffersonville by me.
Yeah.
So I'd love to order that book too. So please.
Oh, well, we want to carry it here. We'll do a launch.
How can people follow you? Do you have a
Absolutely.
social media account people can follow?
I'm actually working on that right now. So, but yeah, it's just about done. So it'll be done very soon.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, I'll let you guys know.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I love that. I also, today during the workshop, we were talking about the transmutation of energy, and not necessarily being terrified when you run into something that you don't necessarily know or are comfortable with, or taking your time to get to know something, which is, I don't know, can be horrifying in a way, until you get comfortable with it. And so I love that you've transmuted that energy.
Yes.
And then in turn, we'll probably do that for so many people.
Yeah, because really, they were people too, and it's their home. And if they want to stay, you could learn to live in harmony with that.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My husband and I, we bought a house. It was bought in 1886, I think. And we found, we knew the names of the owners. We found their graves up the road. And there's something very special about having a sense of connection to the people who, in many cases up here, built the houses with their bare hands. They were farmers. And so I'm always like, Rose, I'm keeping up your house. We're having fun. We're doing justice to you, right? It's important work, I think, to communicate with, whether it's the spirits of the people who were previously inhabited or built your house, or just the spirit of the house itself. It's really good work to do. Does anybody else have something they'd love to share? I would love to. Yes, please come up. And then I see you. Oh, you after. What's your name?
Jennifer.
Jennifer, everybody. This is Jennifer.
So mine's not a ghost story.
That's okay.
Just a synchronicity story.
We love synchronicity stories.
Okay. So in 2015.
And if you could speak loud.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we don't have a microphone.
In 2015, I worked on this amazing documentary called Time is Art, Synchronicity, and the Collective Dream with my best friend Maya. And
Wait, could you repeat that title again?
yes, Time is Art, Synchronicity, and the Collective Dream.
Love it.
It's a really, really good documentary. So we were the story editors on this documentary, and we spent like a whole year studying synchronicity and like hearing these like crazy synchronicity stories. And then 2 years later, we went on this road trip where we experienced like the craziest synchronicity that I ever heard, even more so than anything that was in that documentary. So it was the summer of 2017, and we wanted to see the eclipse that was happening. So we were like, okay, we're gonna go on a road trip. We heard about this ceremony that was happening at Serpent Mound in Ohio, which is like the oldest man-made structure in the world. It's so old that like archaeologists can't agree on how old it is, and a lot of people think it was built by aliens. So we were like, that's where we have to see the eclipse. We're like getting into the ceremony, but we were put on the wait list. And we're like, doesn't matter, we're going. So we start driving to Ohio. We stop in this park and we do this like ritual in the river. Because Maya had been offered a job right as we were leaving to work for Gaia Television. And she was like, dream job.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. But she was like, I don't know, because I keep getting these signs that I should go follow my dream of being a screenwriter. Like her whole life, she wanted to go do the master's program for screenwriting at UCLA. It was like what she really wanted to do. And she like felt like that was what she was supposed to do, but she was offered a job in Boulder, Colorado to work for Gaia. So, so we go to this river and we set really strong intentions, like, okay, show us a sign, like a really clear sign that's like which way, she should go. And then like I probably set kind of an intention about my life's purpose because I always do that. and then like another really strong intention that we meet our soulmate life partners, right? Because we both really wanted to be in partnership. So we do the ritual. We start driving towards Serpent Mound, and we find out that we didn't make it into the ceremony. We can't go. So we're like feeling really sad and devastated. And she's like, well, just to book an Airbnb somewhere, just like go to sleep basically. And so we book a random like last minute Airbnb in the middle of nowhere in Ohio, right? And we get there like in the middle of the night, we go to sleep. In the morning, we wake up and like she had like terrible nightmares all night. And she was crying and she was like, I was like, this is a good problem to have. But like she's really upset, and I was like, okay. Anyway, so we go have breakfast. It was like one of those Airbnbs where you like stay, like there other people were staying in the Airbnb with us, like in different rooms. And so they all had breakfast together. And at breakfast, there was a couple sitting next to us. And they were like in their 50s. And they were like, oh, we're in Ohio, visiting friends. Why are you here? And we were like, oh, we wanted to go to Serpent Mound for the eclipse. And they were like, oh, that's so weird. We wrote an episode of The Simpsons and we put Serpent Mound into The Simpsons. And Maya was like, oh, like all of a sudden she's like, this is the sign, right? The screenwriters, oh, this is the sign that I need. And then she's like, you're a screenwriter? And they were like, well, screenwriting doesn't really pay the bills. We're professors. We run the master's program screenwriting at UCLA. And we're in the middle of nowhere in Ohio, like literally in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
And she's like, oh my God. I was like, well, we didn't like say anything for the first like 20 seconds. So she tells them obviously like what's happening. And she's like, so what do I do? And they were like, okay, well, do you have enough money to move to LA and like not work for 2 years and write screenplays? She was like, no. And they were like, well, then, you can't do it. Like, because if you go into a meeting with an executive and like you're hungry, they'll know and they're not going to make your movie, even if like it's the best screenplay you've ever written. So we strongly recommend that you move to Boulder, Colorado and we're going to tell you exactly how you can write your screenplays with us, even if you don't do that program. And so she took the job at Gaia. Things didn't work out at Gaia for her, but she didn't leave Boulder. She stayed, and a couple months later, she was in a workshop, and she was paired up with a guy, and she met her soulmate.
There
Life
it is.
partner.
So has that changed? Has that experience and the experience of making that movie or making that documentary, has it changed the way in which you put out questions? Has it changed the way that you kind of do a call and response with the universe?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And what advice would you give to all of us based on that? Because that's such a great story.
I guess ask for signs.
Yeah.
Even if they're small, like they will get better and better and better. And the a synchronicity is a coincidence that's meaningful. You know, it's not just like a coincidence. It's like something that helps you understand what you want
Yes.
in your life.
Yes.
So the more that you follow that, the more they show up.
Right. And don't discount it when it happens. Write it down, right?
Yes.
Write it down. Tell people about it.
Right.
Honor it. I think that, I think that so often it's so hard to know if you're doing the right thing. And I do really, truly believe synchronicities like that are the universe's way of saying you've chosen well. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Love that. Come on up. Hello. What's your name?
I am Anna.
Everyone, Anna. This is
So apparently nobody read the fine print because we're supposed to dress up as our favorite dead person.
Oh, that's right. We did. And so who are you dressed up as?
If the banks don't give it away.
Oh, Betty Page,
There it
baby.
is.
Yes. You win. You actually, for dressing up tonight, you get your choice of anything on this table. We can, so yes.
Oh, yeah, I have them all.
Oh, sure. Oh, that's right. You did. You did? All right. We'll figure out some kind of a good price.
Okay, so my story is when I was 14. I was born in Colombia, in South America. I came to the States when I was about 3 or 4. And I never went back until I was 14. I'd always been interested in the metaphysical. In the library, I was sneaking into like all the witchy books because, mom didn't want me to know any of that stuff, of course. And I always felt like I was sensitive, but I didn't really know how to hone my abilities. I do remember kind of like watching myself sleep, hovering over my bedroom from like the corner. So I guess I was like an astral traveler or something. And as I got older, those powers got weaker and weaker. And now I've met this great community, so I feel like it's starting to come back into me. But when I was 14, I went back to Colombia for the first time, and we went to visit my grandmother. I hadn't seen her in well over 10 years, and she lived in Cali, in a mountain. Across the mountain, you could see 3 crosses. It was the mountain of the 3 crosses, very religious country, Colombia. And she lived in a tiny little shack all the way up. There was no roads. You couldn't drive up there. You had to park at a certain spot and then hike it up the rest of the way. So being 14, I'm like, all right, great, grandma, it's wonderful to see you. And I'm like, all right, now we're bored. What are we going to do? So I find neighborhood kids. We're playing hide and seek. And, maybe 4 of us are playing. And all of a sudden, I see another kid that I don't recognize. He's wearing this striped red and white shirt. He's got a big straw hat. And he's crying right by the cliff. And I'm like, hey, are you okay? What's going on? And he's crying and crying. He's not giving me his face. And as I'm getting closer to him, it dawns on me. I had just been told the story of El Duende, which is the goblin that takes children away into the forest. So I'm like, oh, fuck. it's a trap. Oh my God. And, you know, I was kind of mischievous at the time. Still am.
Really?
A little bit. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to test this one. So I go back, the game's over, all the kids are back together, and I'm like, looking at their outfits. Like, did somebody wear a hat, a red shirt? What's going on? They're like, no, I don't know what happened. I'm like, you fucking liars. Y'all are full of shit. And it just stuck with me. I was like, I saw the boogeyman and he almost got me and I got away. So this whole time it stuck with me. And when I had a reading with Edward downstairs, I asked him, because it came to me, I was like, Edward, you're a psychic medium. I actually believe that you have good powers. You're not full of it. This and this happened. Was it true or somebody playing a trick on me? He's like, no, that it was really true. I was like, wow, I got confirmation like 30 years later.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Thank you. I have a question though. Do you have children?
Yeah, I have 3 of them. They're all here.
They're all.
Yeah, one, a
all right,
19-year-old, a 13, almost 14-year-old, and a 3-year-old in the back.
And do you have you shared that and are you careful? Like, have you kind of, I don't know, have you given them any sort of extrasensory perception type of, I don't know.
Yeah. My daughter's heavy into the metaphysical. She was more into tarot than I was, and she's kind of like pushed me towards it. My 13-year-old, he would always know when I was coming home. I didn't have regular hours because just like our friend Helen and Jim over here, my husband and I are both cops. So you never know when mom was coming home. There was no, hey, she's a 9 to 5. She's getting out this time. You never know if you're going to get an arrest. Crazy arrests that I've had. Yeah. And he was like always, oh, mom's almost here. He'd tell my mom. I was like, no, she's not.
I love that.
And he would always have exactly. He's like, no, she's right around the corner. She's looking for parking. So he's very sensitive. And the baby, he's an indigo child. So I don't know.
That's
As
amazing.
soon as you started talking about the little boy, you started talking.
That's bam.
Yeah, he knows. He knows a lot more than we think he does. He had a speech delay, and now he can't shut the hell up. He won't talk to us, but he knows more than
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Amazing. The haunted one. The which one?
Ever get the dark one, the little one?
The dark wood, yes, it's downstairs. One's for yours.
Sasha?
Yes.
I didn't know we had to announce it. I came as the late Tug McGraw.
Oh,
My favorite baseball player of all time. Father of Punches Stock and McGraw.
Thank you for dressing up. I forgot that I had put that out there.
I forgot to wear the hat, but yeah, that's like a thing to come as was good.
That's
Weird Al Yankovic still alive?
Weird Al
Yes.
Yankovic?
Yes. Nice try.
But he'll be dead sometime. He'll be future dressing up. Did anybody else dress up? Is their favorite dead person? Did anyone bring an ancestor with them? Did anyone,
So we all?
like intentionally. So Maya Angelou had actually said, when those people who walk into a room and they look like they've swallowed the moon, they bring their people with them intentionally. And I was in New Orleans last summer I was presenting at Hex Fest, Christian Dale. Anyway, Hex Fest. And my husband wasn't with me, so I was going into this big riverboat party all by myself. I didn't have a +1. I was a little bit nervous. And I remembered what she said about bringing your people with you. So I was like, all right, no, New Orleans isn't your vibe. I'm like, it's your vibe. He's like, yes. And I'm like, we're going to this party. What a difference it was to walk in not knowing anyone, be like, okay, but by bringing people with you. So I just wanted to, yes.
It's
I don't know if you would consider it a story. It's
Get cozy.
so I guess we'll go right off of that. And the theme of the weekend, I guess.
Yep.
So it's a little sad, but it's, I guess, helping ancestors go down the line, particularly in the female line and the maternal line. I always remember my first kind of encounter, and my mom told me, I was very young, and my mom stopped, and she didn't know what was happening. And she said to me, "You feel that? That's okay. Somebody's passing away." I've always felt that. So my mom was actually the first dialysis technician in DR. And before anybody would pass away, for whatever reason, my mom would always get called into the room. And she always had a way of just like, it's okay, go. And I guess I inherited that. And I still inherit that. And I still have that. So fast forward, many, many years later, my daughter was 5. And my daughter was always a calm sleeper. Very calm child, never gave me any issues. She was 5 years old. And all of a sudden, she started waking up. Red car goes boom. And I'm like, Raylan, are you okay? Red car goes boom, mommy, crying. Red car goes boom, red car goes boom. And I'm like, what fucking red car goes boom? Sorry, what is going boom? Go to sleep. It's okay. Days go by. Red car goes boom. Red car goes boom. I'm like, great, okay. She's 5. That day, I get ready for work. I'm on the phone with her father. And so her father and I at this point had decided we were amazing co-parents at this point. We realized we're such amazing friends. We work so well together as friends. It just doesn't work otherwise. And the last thing he told me was, so my middle name is Patricia. And he goes, we were supposed to do my daughter's passport the next day. And he goes, hey, Pat, don't worry. I'll pick you guys up tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. And I said, all right, cool. See you tomorrow. Hang up the phone. 7:00 that night, I get a call. Red motorcycle goes boom. He passed away. In a red motorcycle, and the last picture of him is there. Wow. And my daughter predicted his death. And at that moment, and some of you have met my daughter.
Yeah.
And you guys know. And in that moment, I realized the same thing my mom had realized. I passed it to her.
Wow.
And my daughter has that now too.
Wow.
Red card goes home.
Thank you for sharing that. My
Yeah.
gosh. One thing that I've discovered in doing ghost story events, and even like with tarot classes and stuff, a lot of times people will be saddled with information that they don't know what to do with, or that they feel guilty about, that they know. They don't understand where it's coming from, or why they know what they know. How do you deal with it? How are you helping? I don't know.
How do I help her know that it's okay?
Yeah.
Same way my mom kind of told me, hey, I get it. When that door shuts or when you hear that at night, it's happening.
Yeah.
So like, and I'll give you the last quick story. In July, which happened to me and I shared it with Melissa. In July, my uncle was passing away of cancer last year. And I don't know why, I kept feeling it. And I said, everybody said, no, it's coming right now. I said, no, it's not. Give it a minute. It's not. Give it a minute. And then one night, I had this very insane, vivid dream. And it was, I have a family tree up. My grandmother is up on the family tree with my grandfather. And I keep my dining room table is right there. And I'm very big. I'm a kitchen witch. I'm very big on cooking and serving food for my family. And that night in the dream, my grandmother was holding the pot that she always cooked in for everyone. And I could tell it's her. I couldn't see her, but I knew it was her. And she was serving and she was serving and she was serving and she was serving. And it was my cousin's wedding that day. The next day it was my cousin's wedding. And I wake up and I'm panicked and I'm sweating. And I said, this is it. That morning, my mom calls me. She goes, hey, he passed last night. And I just knew. And I can't explain it. I just knew. And that was my grandmother kind of just saying, it's okay. And that's how so to answer your question, like, I've just always made it okay for her to say, what did you feel? Talk. Yeah.
Mama. Good mama. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
It's crazy. It's crazy information to have, right? Like my mom is someone, she would always know months before someone would get pregnant. She could always tell you. Well, and she was, So it's interesting, the door, right? Between worlds.
It's the same door.
Some people have a particular sensitivity towards one or the other, perhaps both. Wow. Is there any other?
I do have one.
Melissa, I was hoping you would come up. Will you?
Yeah.
Yes.
I wasn't going to tell this one, but after. Okay. I don't know any other way to describe this, but I kind of grew up, it felt like I had a sword over my head. Okay. This is the only way I can think of to describe it, is I just always had this innate knowing that I was not going to live past the age of 33. Absolute 100%. And I knew exactly how I was going to die. I was going to be killed by a drunk driver by the time I was 33. And I used to see it. Like, I would fall asleep at night and I would actually see these headlights coming at me. And I would wake up screaming and just like covered in sweat. And probably since the age of about 3. So after a while, I kind of came to terms with it, just saying, well, okay, at least you know how much time you have. So you're going to make the most of it. So there was always these little milestones. Okay, 11, right? Do something really good at 11. Do something really good at 22. And by the time you're 33, you'll have completed the whole thing, kind of going by the master numbers and everything. So I always said, well, I'm going to get all the way to 33. So I'm not going to chance it. I wouldn't go out on New Year's or anything like that, where I thought there might be a lot of people on the road drinking, whatever. And finally, I think I just turned 33. And that year I was just like, every time I had to drive on the road, it was just like I was a wreck. Right? Because the one thing I remembered is that I was driving the car. This is why to this day I don't like to drive. It's like, if I can go in the car, why don't you drive? It's just always, it's just a thing. Right? So I was 33. I was driving home from teaching class. I had a karate school at the time. Yeah. And I'm giving away my age here. I had a little Motorola flip phone. You pull out the little antenna on it, right? So it's in the seat. And at that time, when you had the Motorola flip phone, there wasn't a lot of calling. There wasn't texting. You had to sit there with the numbers and get the letter. It just wasn't happening. And to this day, I don't take calls a lot. So if somebody calls me, that basically means somebody's dying. Okay, and I'm driving home. And the one thing I do want to kind of make a distinction here is whenever I had that dream, it was so real. I was basically in it because I knew like the weather outside. I knew the temperature. I knew the smell of the rain. I knew, everything. Like, I would actually drop into that scene. That's how real it was. That's why it was just, no matter how much my mother told me, no, you're not going to die when you're 3. After a while, because I was predicting deaths of family members. So after a while, my mother was just like, there was really nothing she was going to say to me. So She just told me not to talk about it. Stop talking about it. Stop talking about it. So one night I'm driving home with my little Motorola in the passenger seat. And it's dark. And the phone rings, which did not happen. It might have been like the first time I ever heard the phone ring. I don't know. Right? So I slow down. I'm thinking maybe I should pull over and pick this up. Right? So I slow down. And then I just realized that there's nowhere to pull over. So I keep going, and the next thing I know, there are the headlights coming exactly at me.
Oh.
It's the exact scene. I said, okay. It's just, I'll never forget the feeling. I was just like, there it is. Like that confirmation. In this weird, perverse way, I was kind of like, I was right. like I'm going to die, but I was right. Everybody told me I was wrong. I was right. And I figured that's a good way to die. I wouldn't be able to sit there and go, I told you so, but at least, in that moment, I was like, there it is, right? And something about that, the reason I bring up the phone is because it made me slow down, like I considered pulling over. So it threw the timing off just a little. And at the last minute, this car swerved and hit a tree so hard that it flipped over and just missed me again. So it missed me twice. It went boom, boom, like that. And I had made it around the curve, and just as that car missed me the second time, there was actually a place to pull over. The only place, right? So I pull over, and I freeze, because I'm just like, I don't know what's going to happen now. I wasn't even supposed to be alive at this point. I'm just sitting there like, okay, this just ruined the whole script. I don't know what's going on. So, and there was another car behind me, and she pulls over. Well, I guess the car, when it flipped over, the windows, like they just kind of exploded. And this woman crawls out, right? And just as her head breaks out, you can smell the alcohol.
Wow.
Okay. A dog runs out of the other seat. And that was the one thing that snapped me out of it, is I got very angry because she endangered the dog. Right? So now I'm just like, right? Well, this other woman pulls up behind me, and she goes, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No." Yes, like that. So she goes, "Okay, honey." So she calls 911, everything. She grabs my hand and she goes, "I don't know who you are, but you are meant to do something great." Right? And I just looked at her and I went, "No." Yes. And I just sat there and I waited for the police, and they did the whole report and everything. The whole time before the cops were coming, this woman tried to get me to give her the cell phone so her boyfriend could come and pick up the car. I guess, she obviously didn't want the cops to come. The poor dog was running up and down the road. It was just this complete scene of chaos, and I had no idea what to do. I mean, I wasn't even supposed to be there. I literally was not supposed to be there. And I kept playing through my head, you are obviously meant to do something great. You are obviously meant to do something great. And I just drove home, and I just sat outside of my apartment at the time. And I had to park on the street, and it was underneath like a street lamp. And finally, the full magnitude of everything hit me. Right? And I was just like, I have to have a completely new outlook on life. I thought I was done. I said, now I got to start all over again. And just as I realized that, the transformer on the pole over my head explodes.
Oh, light bulb.
And all the lights go out everywhere. So I just look down and go, oh, screw this, I'm going to bed. And that was it.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's my life up until 33, and then from 33 on, it's a completely different existence.
A completely different existence.
Yeah.
How often do you think of that? Do you think
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. A lot of things. I mean, there's honestly even something behind the transformer explode.
Yeah.
Because I've all my life, I would go into, say, like a store or something, and I would set off the alarms as I went in. Computers, certain things don't work around the electronics. I finally found out that's called a slider. And that's a streetlight interference. It's somebody whose electromagnetic charge is off to such an extent that it just kind of affects, and I don't think that was a coincidence because it was like right over my head. And it's happened. That's actually the first of 3 transformers that have exploded like near me.
Who's
Like
who's ever had an exploding transformer near them? Oh, interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
a bunch of you.
Yeah.
But still, wow.
Have any of you been electrocuted as well? Okay, because usually there's a
Did you
there's a
both
connection.
held your hands up for exploding transformer and
And electrocution. Yeah.
Not exploding transfer, but things have exploded.
Oh yeah.
I don't look
Right,
right
I don't
over
know.
instructions.
There's something to that.
One of the apartments that I lived in, when I was first starting to experience that, and I was very young, I was like 8, maybe 9. The transformer right in front of the apartment building exploded, and I was the one that woke up everybody and let them know, hey, there was about to be a whole fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. This one was bad. And I mean, just at that point, though, I had almost died like 5 minutes before, so it was just like nothing was going to spook me at that point. I was just like, okay, just hold that
Do you still feel as if there's a sword?
down. No,
That
never had
is
it again.
gone.
It's like it was just a complete and total reboot. Yeah. Yeah. And it was just
33
33.
transformation.
Well, those are 3 master numbers: 11, 22, and 33.
3 times 3.
3 times 3.
Gotcha.
I take a lot of comfort in that story.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. That it just completely
Yeah.
wiped it clean. And I never had that problem again. I've never felt it. I don't know. And that's the best part. Is like I have no idea what's going to happen to me now.
Yay!
And that's just one.
And we love that. We love that.
Someone wanted to know who called.
Yeah. who put that?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Nobody. There was no record of a phone call at all. Like I opened it up and it didn't even show that there was a missed call. There was nobody. There was nothing. And I did not have the radio on. There was nothing. I was driving like on a back road. It was in the middle of. Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. There was nobody on the line.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. And you really have done something extraordinary with this space. Really done something extraordinary.
It's
with
kind of
this
like
space.
everything I do now is
Your
almost
life.
like thank you.
Life.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm still here. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Oh my gosh. Wow. Anyone else? Yes, please come sit down. You guys are full of amazing stories. This is so
Mine's not going to be that long. So I'm Nicole Nightfall. I'm a paranormal investigator and also a psychic channel. Do a lot of regular posting on my investigations, but there is one location that I swear is the most haunted I've ever been to. And I know you're doing an event there, and you know which one it is in Napanock that I'm going to say.
The
Shanley Hotel.
Oh, I just
If
came
you
back from
live
that.
locally,
Oh my
you
God.
need to go there because it is every time I've been there, the evidence is off the chain. Like those spirits there are ready to party. And like I was going there before they opened up the 3rd floor. Now that the 3rd floor is open, it's like a whole other level of stuff. They have a Ouija board painted on the floor. Like Kelly's just like, let's do this. We're haunted. So we're up. I go up there. It's the last time I was actually there. Actually, no, I was there once before in the morning. But anyway, I was there filming, and I was like, let me bring the most amazing practitioners I know. So I have my friend with me who's a practitioner, and I also brought an espiritista who's been doing this for 40 years, and one of the last Japanese shamans who, if you've never seen them work, oh my God. And it's like pretty sacred and secret what they do. So what he has is a whole, like, it looks like a bow and arrow. It's like a small instrument that he plays to call on spirit, control spirit. He could do exorcisms with it. He could do anything with this bow, depending on the tempo and the chant that he's doing. So we are up on the 3rd floor. There is a serial killer spirit there named Adam that they claim is there. I am not sure if this is true or somebody impersonating this character that seems to be kind of like created to me. I can't really tell. But anyway, he is dangerous in my opinion, or he can be. So we're up there and we're sitting there and we've been there the whole night. And all of a sudden, you know that feeling if you're a paranormal investigator, it gets like, you can hear a pin drop, even though the equipment's going. It's like that feeling that something has entered the chat. And something did enter the chat. And I say, he's threatening a car accident. He's going to hurt somebody. He's going to go home with somebody and like really mess with their car and try to hurt us. And they agree. They're getting the same stuff. So my Japanese shaman friend, he's like, well, we're not going to like exercise and get rid of it because we can't. And one, it's like kind of like bad form to do that at somebody's location, right? So he's like, what I can do is trap it in the floor. It'll be there for 4 weeks. So he attempts to trap Adam in the floor. He's doing the whole thing. He taps on. I have footage of this. It's like, it's wild. He's putting him in the floor. He's putting him in the floor. So we leave. Everybody's fine. I have mutuals on TikTok from the UK who are paranormal investigators. They're very, very popular. They have like 2 million followers. Like they got a huge following. Like thousands of people watch their stuff. So they go live at this location and they're in Adam's room. And the guy sits where the Japanese shaman sat, where he's on the floor. And he all of a sudden jumps up and he goes, something grabbed my ankle, and he starts screaming because he said, I feel the fingers, bro. You know, he's like doing the whole bro talk, right? So the guy that's with him tends to be an aggressor, like Zach Bagans' 2010 circuit. Picture that. Like he's saying, hurt me. If you're so big and bad, you're going to hurt me. Like do it now. He's calling him out. He's screaming at him. He has long hair that's in a ponytail. On camera, this happens. You see the hair tie come out and his hair falls down on his face. And I've been watching these guys a while. Like I'm friends with, I don't agree with everything they do. I think we all love people. We know that we don't, but whatever, I support them. They're fun, you know, and they mean no harm. But that humbled him very quickly. And they flew home to the UK, and none of this is in their final cut for their YouTube channel, which I find very interesting. They have the hair part, but the part where I warned them in chat, I was like, guys, he's trying to hurt somebody. So I was like, you better be careful. I said, car accident or whatever. This guy who got his hair pulled had something really bad happen with his car and he almost got into a car accident. Wow. So ever since then, I've noticed he's still a little bit, but it humbled him and maybe he needed it. Of course, he was okay, but his car was like really messed up. He had to spend a lot of money to get it fixed. But yeah, I'm just glad he's okay. But yeah, some of these spirits, they don't play. So always be careful when you're going out, guys. Make sure you're cleansing and doing your thing. So that's the one that stood out to me, that story, because it was just so intense and it's all like documented. So
Would you share for people listening or watching, what would you share a simple cleanse? Like if somebody feels like they're in a house that's haunted, or if they're gonna maybe break and enter into like a cool abandoned property, what's something simple that a person can do? Would you suggest?
Something simple. Well, I think you should always cleanse yourself before you go in. So spiritual baths are great. I love that you use river water, by the way. I've never heard another person use that because rivers carry away spirits. And they're great for spiritual cleansing. So that with like a salt mixture would be a great simple one. I use like the ghost chaser herb as well. There's a whole bunch of different types of herbs. Rue especially is great. So make a little spiritual bath mixture with that. You can mark yourself with cascarilla, which is like an eggshell powder. But a really good one to do too, to make sure nothing really jumps into your car. I actually mark the tires with either like holy oil or water. And I put like a cross on each one. And I go like clockwise and I say a little prayer as I go around. Because they love to like, they're like, and don't ever walk to a straight pattern to your car. Walk in like a zigzag, almost like you're drunk. Because spirit will try to follow the energy trail.
Serpentine.
Yeah. So I always tell people, it's like, we're not going the same direction, guys. We're breaking up. And usually that's after they're all freaked out. And they're like, thanks, you didn't warn us. And I'm like, you'll be fine. We just got to go around the house and around and through the, like Hinsdale House especially. I was like, we're splitting up for a while walking. Because, oh my God, that location. I don't know if anybody's ever been to that one. Very dark location. Have you been?
Well, did you encounter the thing in the basement?
The thing up on the floor near Mary's room is even worse than that closet.
You were allowed one time on my birthday. I wanted to go to the chamois because we'd already been there. Mm-hmm. So for my 60th birthday, we went in January. The third floor was freezing, but we had usual events and what. We went to the basement. It was just me and Helen. Mm-hmm. Now, me being stupid, I don't back down. And the negative entity that is in the basement starts coming over the voice box. Mm-hmm. And he's calling us out. So I walk right up to that. There's like a ledge there, like where you pass the morgue and there's like an upper thing there.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And Kelly's like, the owner's like, look out, they're going to throw a rock at you. And I'm like, yeah, throw the rock. Go ahead, smart guy. So I'm just antagonizing the spirit now. I'm going, go ahead, what do you got? You're weak. And Kelly's going, Jim, back off. And I'm like, no, I don't back off even when I die, I'll see him. I got you. I'll see you, pal. And because I'm stupid that way. So I go back and the voice box. No interference, no nothing. Straight out yelling, puta! And the place, and the whole thing goes silent. And then what was amazing was 2 or 3 other voices start to come through. It was like I actually beat up the bully. So now I'm feeling good about myself. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Mike Tyson against the kindergarten. I got you. So I go back a few months later for like a Casper type event. And they split us into 3. And of course, now, again, I am stupid that way. I go through the group to the basement and I go, told the guys, I'm back. Oh, Jack Nicholson, I'm back. So I brought sage with me to cleanse myself. And they did the tea readings and stuff. And I was just like, I got to get home. Now, I live across the other side of the Neversink Reservoir. Sasha knows where we live. We live about 20 miles from the Shannon, if you follow 55 and keep going. So I get in my truck and I forget to sage myself. And I forget to do the you're not welcome. I get on the road and I'm about a mile from the Shanley. And like I said, sometimes we're somewhat sensitive. I know there's somebody in my back seat. And I'm looking in the mirror and I can't see anything, but it's like a weight is on me. There's like a hatred is.
I have a question for you. Did you open the box? Did you encounter the haunted object that is now at the Shanley Hotel that's in the black box?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. But I'm going to be very humble when I do.
Yeah.
But what I did was I said, screw it. And I know I got to get over that reservoir because that's what my only option. And I said, screw it, man. I get pulled over. I just nailed it on 55. And as soon as I got over that body of water, I hit the water and I'm like, now get out. And all of a sudden, the air was fresh and clean and gone. So there's a warning in that. Don't be stupid like me that way. And always cleanse yourself coming out of that place. Always. Because I had a passenger and it wasn't a happy.
Yeah.
It was not a happy.
Yeah, there's ones that like to come home and play for a little bit. I don't think they like to stay long.
Well,
They
thank God there was a body of
it.
water I could pass over.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What is the mystic? What is it? What has happened at that hotel? Because I hear so many people talk about
What hasn't?
Except that's really the question. I was like, where do I start?
Yeah.
It's not even just that with the great amount of history. And even before Kelly, the current owner, had it too, there was a lot of depressing, there was a lot of drug use and it was like abandoned. Like I just think the property in general has been through a lot of trauma. Like we talked about the spirit of the house, right? Like I think the bones in that building are just like haunted. And there's a lot of crystals in the ground in that area too, which people don't like to talk about too, but quartz especially is an amplifier. So Sullivan County, because I'm from Bethel, so we're actually neighbors originally. I'm originally a Bethel girl.
Or we're in Shoppe.
Are you
7
really?
miles from you.
Yeah. So I could, you could throw a rock and anything's found in Sullivan County.
Everything really happened. They have the building is so old. They have the ghost John, the lynched slave. So the slave got lynched. A little girl drowned well on the property.
Is it a currently active hotel?
Oh my
like
God.
People stay there?
Oh yes.
Overnight
haunted experience. Yeah.
You stayed
She's
there.
doing an event there.
No, I already did.
You already did.
I already did. And
But
boy, was it
there are nice things there.
That's like, yeah.
Yeah. I used to go there with the radio too in the morning, and at like 8 o'clock, 9, 10 in the morning, stuff's popping off. Like none of that would be fake. It would be on the radio, especially at the Shanley, because it's like you turn on the box and all of a sudden you get, especially in the bordello, like they love to talk through the box.
There's a bordello there too. That's where the what happened was the black, not really a slave, but it was a black man who they were after they were freed, he was pretty much still slaves then anyway. He got involved with one of the white prostitutes, and the townsfolk didn't like it. Because you know what things were in the 1800s. So he got lynched. But there's also, like I said, there's also very nice stuff. It's just something that over the history of that place, that just, they're trapped there for some reason.
It's like
or either want to stay or they don't or they're just
there.
They're just there.
Yeah.
So there's tragedy. There's just people that just passed away and love the place.
It's
So it
very
goes everything.
mystical. It's all
Yeah.
synchronicity.
Yeah, it goes from tragedy and horror like lynchings to the little girl and the little girl to like people just passing away sleepily, but they're just lifelong members of the hotel.
Yeah.
Oh
Trauma does
Nice.
it does have a way of grounding itself in a place, and it really becomes almost like a lava pool in a sense of, and you can feel it in certain places. For sure.
The Big Eddy on the Delaware River right at Narrowsburg is the deepest part of the river, and they believe that's where the meteor hit to like create the actual river. And I didn't know this about it until I told a friend of mine. I was like, whenever I get off of exit 104, it's like people are sitting on the hood of my car to talk to me. And I always read up until very recently, since I've been living there for a while now. When I am in Narrowsburg, it's like a different level of reading.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
And you're near the Stone Arch Bridge, where I went viral doing an investigation there.
Oh, the murder.
Yeah, I got like 3 million views. Like I had 10,000 people in the live, like so active there. And that's since childhood because I'm from Bethel. Like I used to go there as a kid.
Yeah.
Right.
So with the
Stone
ghost
Arch
story.
Inn, which is now just a restaurant, was when I was a kid, that place was freaky.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah, that's
Western also, the Western is scary.
They asked me to do an event there, but I think she was kind of like iffy about letting people know it was haunted. But I used to go in there because I was so drawn to that building.
Everybody knows that place is haunted.
Yeah.
She asked me to cleanse it actually.
Oh, were you the one you probably were there like right before I was there? She's like, had somebody come in and cleanse it. Do you
No,
have
I
the thing
didn't,
on the
I
bar?
didn't do it. She
Okay.
asked me to do it. She asked me to do it for like very little money. And I was like, this will take me out of work for about a month.
100%.
Just that
This
kind of
is-
energy. I was like,
This is the Western Hotel in Calico, New York.
yeah.
Yeah, there's been a lot of tragedy in that building.
A lot of
That's
tragedy.
repeated itself.
Yeah,
same
repeated
same
tragedy.
situations I repeated.
Well,
which
the
is
last thing
so
was only I think about a decade ago when the owner accidentally killed the
when he
waitress.
accidentally shot her. Yeah.
Accidentally. Let's sort of
Mm.
work with that word accident.
Well, he was showing a friend of his. There's no such thing as an unloaded gun.
Well, no,
He
I
was showing a friend of his gun.
Yeah.
And at the bar after hours, and the waitress was checking out her bills, and he pulls the trigger to show the guy how the gun works. And there was a live round in the chamber, and it was one shot to the head. She was dead.
Yep.
So the energies in that hotel, some of them are just tragic.
Well, he
It's
was
like
found
the,
not guilty for that too. He was like cleared of that charge.
It was accidental because
He's well
it was just.
connected.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that.
Yeah.
He's still alive, so legally we're gonna be like, not guilty. So he's good.
That's
But
so
yeah.
wild. Where can people find you and follow you?
I'm at Nicole Nightfall on all things. I'm one of those social media weirdos who's on everything and live on it. So you can find me on
Is-
there at
is-
NicoleNightfall.com.
Is Nightfall really your last name?
No, everybody asks me that, and
Such a
I'm too
great
honest of a
name.
person to say yes, but no, very much it ends in a vowel. I'm very Italian, if you can't tell by my face. So Nightfall is not, my last name ends in a vowel.
All of you kids are changing your names. None of my daughter or any of her friends have the names they were born with.
Yeah.
So
Well, for me, it was kind of like I wanted to protect my family that was not
in
out
this world.
or in the world. Like, because I was having that when I started taking off on TikTok. People would try to message my mother and stuff. So I actually even changed my name. My real name's not even on my Facebook. Like, so you can't like find me or really my family. But yeah,
I love that.
paranoid, I guess. Yeah, and it kind of goes with it. Why not Nightfall? It sounds,
You're in
sounds
the
good.
ghost
good.
protection,
That's a
is
good
that
one.
What's that?
You're in the ghost witness protection.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, now I got to change it again. So I'll change my hair color again.
Thank you for bringing up the chandelier. That's.
Oh,
yeah.
sure thing too. And yeah, right now we're doing like the Cromwell Manor, and I got like 2 from that location in Cornwall, which is also haunted. So we're doing like a lot of investigations there as well. So we had some cool stuff happen a couple weeks ago when I was there too. Like my face got touched. It was pretty wild. So yeah. So she'll tell you. She'll tell you. She's too nervous to come up and tell you, but she was part of the experience. Yeah, so that location's pretty cool. It's got a lot of history there, so that we're uncovering. We're with a lot of research on our end, right, Chris? Yeah.
Is there any place that you guys have been to that you will never return to? that you were like, no,
No,
never,
because like
ever.
my friend here, I'm like an idiot with this stuff, and I'm like, I want to experience it again. However, at the Shanley though, even though that thing that's in the box now, like I don't think like last time I was there with this occasion I talked about, I was like, I'm not in the mood for that. So I was like, we're not. I have a line sometimes. What's in the box? What's in the box? I don't want to give it away because like Kelly likes to do like a whole reveal thing about it. So like, but
Oh, believe me, I have lines now drawn too. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the only thing. I'm kind of like, all right, please stay over there, and I'll be over here.
And I'll be over here, and I'm gonna come back again.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you so much. This has been such a great night, and I want to thank you everybody for your energy and your stories. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you to the incredible staff at LightClub. You guys have been like amazing all day long. We have a reception after this. I think there's treats and drinks, so hang out with us. Yes.
Just one final thing I'd like to get into the audience.
Yes.
That I forgot to say when I was up there.
Yes.
The next time you go to a haunted place and the owner tells you that the ghosts are friendly, immediately ask them to define what they mean by friendly. I'm going to put it out there. It's just open.
A word to the wise. A word to the wise. And this Ghost Stories by the Fire has just recently launched as a podcast. So Heather is my guest on this week's episode 10. So it's Sasha Graham's Ghost Stories by the Fire. Please have a like and a listen. And thanks for coming out,
YouTube,
you guys.
Spotify, everything.
Everything, all of the Apple, all of the Apple, all of it. Yep. Yay. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Amazing.
Oh.
Yay. What? Oh, that's it. Right now.
Oh, you did it.
Good Annabelle. What do you know about certain when is something different?
Oh, it's unreal. It's weird. I feel like